one good week, one okay week, and then the rest.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me
Do the countdown.
Doo-pew.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour, presented to you by the Fantasy Points Media Group. Week 5 is almost in the books. There's a big matchup going on as we record with lots of fantasy stars in it, but we are going to talk to you about this week's game, starting with Thursday night. But before we do, I want to introduce you to my co-host, Tyler Gunther, and my boy, James Crease.
What's going
at
on?
FF_chef. Get those followers up. That's right. Tyler doesn't need followers.
Chief.
Yeah, he's usually
I don't
tweeting
know
about
why.
something silly.
I don't know why I do have followers, but
Same.
yeah.
James, what's up with you and Joyzy?
It's raining here, so it's not a nice Joyzy day.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that song by Hillary Duff where she's singing about the rain? Let the rain fall down.
No.
No, I mean
I know
you
a
got-
lot of rain songs.
Not
I'm
a
only
big
happy when it
Hillary Duff
rains
fan.
by Garbage.
anybody
Blame It on the Rain by Milli Vanilli. Blame it on the
anybody
rain.
who listens to this, tweet out to Doug, James, and I about the Hillary Duff song, and like it starts like "Let the rain fall down."
Remember this one? Oh, I
Nope.
can't even remember now.
How about November Rain? In the cold November rain.
That's a great song.
It's like 20
Classic.
minutes long. Well,
Rain falls on the tin
But is it a Tool
roof.
song?
What song is that? She lies awake on my bed.
oh, I know one. I got one for you, Tyler. It's raining, man. Hallelujah.
Great
It's
classic.
raining, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be raining here tomorrow. We're getting into that cold weather, guys. We're in the lower 50s next week. We're getting
Brr.
there.
Whoa.
We are getting there. This dinosaur costume I'm gonna be wearing for Halloween is gonna be nice, warm when Halloween rolls around. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Chicago next Sunday for the Packers-Bears game. So it's supposed to be in the 60s. I'll take it for a middle of
Hey,
October
that's
game.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I get to see Justin Fields and get to see my boy Aaron Jones in person. Woo woo. I'm excited. This is going to be a good time.
Now, no streaking.
No promises. I'm pretty shifty. They might catch me eventually, but I got some hip movements to get around people. So
We don't want to see the hip movement if you're streaking.
I get the helicopter. That's how you start the helicopter up.
Oh,
You got to
boy.
gas it up.
Then you just float away.
You get it ready for takeoff. Just
Not safe for work.
It's fine. I'm talking about a helicopter, a chopper.
Yeah.
Get your mind out of the gutter, James. All right. Let's roll into week 5. There is a lot going on. It is lots of injuries this week. We'll go over them as we go over the games. But it is definitely becoming a war of attrition yet again in fantasy football this year. It's going to be last man standing, just limp to the finish line type of season with the amount of injuries that we're seeing week to week. Everyone's like, this is the worst I've ever seen. No, it was bad last year and the year before too.
Yeah.
It's bad every year. So, running back keeps getting thinner and thinner until it's like just going to be wasted away and not a position you're even going to use anymore because there's like 3 running backs in the league.
But Puka Williams thin. That's how thin we're getting.
It's Puka Williamson. That's mad thin. All right, let's start with Thursday night's game. We had the Rams and the Seahawks. Big injury news out of this one. Absolutely destroys me in a league where it's a super flex league. Russell Wilson is my only healthy quarterback. And yeah, not great, Bob. Russell Wilson has the old mallet finger, not to be confused with Ryan Mallet finger. But mallet finger, he's going to miss at least a month, maybe more. Geno Smith comes in at the end of this one. Looks actually pretty decent. But this was the big welcome back Bob Forrest game. 12 receptions, 150 yards. Darrell Henderson looked good. Tyler, what do you got from this game for your quick obs?
I mean, I'm going to go with the running game for the Rams. And my first instinct was, okay, Darrell Henderson looks all right. Doug, your comp to Eddie Lacy sticks with me because it is spot on. The number, the style of run,
The hair,
the style he runs with. All I can think of every time I see him running is Cam Akers is going to destroy if he can come back 80% healthy. And my hopes is that happens. Like we see Marlon Mack we haven't really seen the full Marlon Mack. We haven't seen the carries or anything. But I feel like Akers can be an outlier, just age, draft capital, the type of athlete he actually is. I feel like he could be an outlier. So if there's a chance you can go out and get Akers, 2022 could be a massive year for him because I know Henderson will be on a contract year then. I just feel like the Rams aren't happy about having Henderson back there. But when Cam Akers was back there, you could tell they wanted to get him rolling. They wanted to make it a priority. And with Stafford at quarterback, that can actually happen. Now, James, I know you're a big fan of Akers, so I know you can agree with this one.
I'm on it with you. One of my takeaways from this game, well, thank God Robert Woods came back to life just for at least one game, obviously against the worst defense in the league. But it was great to see him get 14 targets. Makes me feel all warm and cozy inside on these cold fall days. A little bit of Bobby Trees keeping the fire warm for you.
Yeah, and we also did have Chris Carson miss this game with a quote-unquote chronic neck injury. That's obviously concerning. We like Chris Carson when he's healthy. Alex Collins took over. He was okay. I mean, a tough Rams defense. He was all right. I mean, you probably picked him up for free in Dynasty leagues a couple weeks ago, like I did, because I was like, you know what? Rashad Penny's not there. It's Alex Collins, and Chris Carson isn't exactly healthy all the time.
Yeah, start adding those backup running backs. Everybody, do it now.
For sure. Yeah, Devontae Booker, anyone. Yeah, you definitely want to start adding them now because it's only going to get worse. We're in week 5, and we're talking about some major running backs out for injury. Obviously the big hit, Russell Wilson in this one. This is going to downgrade the passing game for everyone. And Tyler Lockett, the crazy thing about owning guys like Tyler Lockett is you have these, first couple of weeks, he's like your wide receiver 1 in fantasy. And then the last 3 weeks, he's a ghost. So I would say it's one of those things where Lockett is, getting a little bit older. If he pops with another couple of solid weeks in a row, I think he's a sell candidate, personally. I like Tyler Lockett as a player, but guys like him drive me mad to own.
Yep.
You have the 8, 150, and 2, and then you have 2 for 20. It's like Amari Cooper. Like, that's been Amari Cooper's MO. Big game, 2 quiet games. Like, these types of guys drive me insane.
I think you're in for a tough sled. As far as Lockett goes, when Geno entered the game, he really didn't see many receptions after that. Yep. And if you're looking for that boom game to sell on Lockett, it's going to be rough sledding. It really is. You're going to have to hope that he has a really good game that you can get rid of him and quickly. I mean, if it doesn't happen next week, you're in trouble.
Yeah. So let's move on. We did have a morning game in London. It was Tyler's Falcons against the Jets. Falcons win 27-20. No Calvin Ridley. He was not in this game due to personal reasons. Russell Gage was out. So obviously Matt Ryan, not with a lot of weapons, but still threw for 342 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Tyler, I know what your observation is in this one, so take it away. Take your victory lap. He finally had a good game.
Only took 5 weeks.
So honestly, I'm going to say they used him differently. His route tree was completely different from what it was every other week. I don't know if it's because Ridley and Gage were gone, but they went deep with him. Like, he had deep targets. And all I was screaming for all these weeks was like, this guy can run a 4-4, and you're sitting here just putting him on little button hooks and little slants.
It's like
every single week. Like, setting him deep. And they did. He would have had a humongous game. But you know what? Matt Ryan underthrew him on a route where he was wide open. He split the safeties. He was down the field. Nobody was near him. Matt Ryan underthrew him. And you know what Pitts did? Use that body and those long pterodactyl arms to just grab it before the defenders could even get a chance to. Pitts is honestly, he's untouchable now if you want to get him. But if you have him, this is a good sign going forward. My observation of this game is not Pitts. It is Cordero Patterson. Who would have thought all these years? I've seen him play in Minnesota. I've seen him with the Bears. He was with the Patriots. Nobody knew how to use him. And in walks Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith, this guy who for the past 4 weeks seems like he's vanilla ice cream, doesn't know how to call plays, but yet he knows how to use this weapon. Cordero Patterson would be a Hall of Famer if this is how he was used all these years. Like, He would be a fantasy stud if this was how he was used forever. He'd be at Minnesota still if this was what was going on. Patterson's ultra talented. I finally think they unlocked him. He doesn't need all these touches. This is for real. Like, they're going to use him like this. And I think Gage is kind of the whole Gage thing. Sorry, Zach, is done. Like, I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah.
I think it's Patterson, Ridley, Pitts, and Mike Davis. You're lucky to get a touchdown out of him this week and every other week. But I mean, that's the recipe for success for them. And it worked today against a Jets defense that looked like they're jet lag. And
I see what you did there.
I took that one from Twitter. I can't make that one my own.
Nice. Credit where credit is due. James, you got anything maybe on the Jets side of the ball?
Yeah, I like the usage for Michael Carter. His touches are starting to go up.
Yep.
Definitely somebody that you're going to try to invest in before he really, really blows up. We saw the switch start to happen. 10 carries for 38 yards, got into the end zone, got some receiving work, which is great. And the other thing about the Jets, Zach Wilson, I'm full panic mode if I roster Zach Wilson in any of my dynasty leagues. I warned a lot of people in the offseason about him. Tyler, he drank the Kool-Aid on him.
No.
You were
not at first.
Not at first.
Nope.
Not at first.
You
got that. You got that FOMO, fear of missing out.
I was completely off,
Wilson.
and I had to get. Yeah, I'm a person that wants some share in your portfolio in case he does hit. And you know what? The worst part is when you have that share in a league that you really care about, and that's the worst feeling.
Yeah, he didn't do it against the Falcons defense, which is very, very terrible. So I'm writing him off, and he's not startable for me going forward until I see something better.
Yeah.
Ditch him, sell him, do whatever you can for him. I mean, I know Doug needs a quarterback in the league, but Russell Wilson, you may want to try to sell him to him.
I got to try to trade Cordell Patterson for somebody for a quarterback.
For Zach Wilson,
his start, his start reminds me of Baker Mayfield's sophomore year. Pick after pick after pick after pick, mistake after mistake. I don't know if it's like, you know how there's always one family member that you're just like, he's terrible. Maybe that's the LaFleur that they got. Maybe that's the LaFleur that the Jets snagged.
Maybe they should have gotten Peter LaFleur.
Peter LaFleur might have been the brother they needed to succeed.
What's crazy is he's consecutively in the first half of games played very, very badly. And then when they are behind, he tries to come back. And that's when you're seeing a real spark in him. You're not seeing that spark all the way through. It's not consistent. Yep. It's more like he's a backyard player more than a regimented NFL quarterback, franchise quarterback.
All right.
With one more thing. My thinking with
you said you were going to be brief tonight. You lied to my face.
I want to hit on these rookie quarterbacks because I have a lot of opinions on all these rookie quarterbacks. The thing with Zach Wilson is he's got unbelievably amazing arm talent. Like, his arm talent is there. It's obvious. You've seen him throw 25 yards and it's there in a second. He just needs mentally to figure the game out. He had Corey Davis open on a play that he decided to stick with his first read. He needs time, I feel, and he's the person that should have sat. And they should have maybe brought in a veteran quarterback to play ahead of him. But yeah, maybe year 2 for him. But yeah, year 1 is going to be a big time struggle for him.
I agree. All right, let's move on to the missed field goal game of the day. It was the Packers beating the Bengals in overtime, 25-22. At one point, there was 5 straight missed field goals between these two teams.
Crazy game.
It was nutty. Green Bay's fantasy stars rebounded in this one. It was a quiet week last week for Rodgers, Jones, and Adams. They all bounced back nicely this week. A.J. Dillon even threw a touchdown in there for you. Injury news out of this one: Joe Burrow has some sort of throat issue, and he went to the hospital. A contusion. I don't know what that means. But he went to the hospital. Yes, he went to the hospital.
You ever been throat punched?
We'll keep an eye on that situation. Joe Mixon did play in this one. He did get you a touchdown to save his fantasy day, but he had limited touches, a lot like Dalvin Cook did last week, coming off his ankle injury. Jamar Chase, baller. If you own Jamar Chase in Dynasty, like me, in a bunch of spots, let's go. Super pumped about
that whole Chase trade, I was looking back on it today. So behind the curtain, Doug and I kind of swapped Trevor Lawrence and Jamar Chase, and he got Goff as well. I'm still happy about it. Like, we'll talk about the quarterback, but I hate not having Chase, but man, like both of them look pretty good.
The great part about Chase is it's only his rookie year, and he showed today that he is the alpha receiver in that offense. Higgins comes back. He gets 7 targets, caught the ball 5 times. But it was Chase. When they wanted a touchdown, they went to Chase. When they wanted to move the ball down the field, they went to Chase. The only reason why Higgins even broke double-digit fantasy points was the 2-point conversion. So it's Chase. Definitely Chase.
That toe touch catch in
it was great. It
was awesome. That was insanity.
Yeah. Devontae Adams, 11 receptions, 206 today, and a touchdown.
I thought my man Mike Williams was going to take the gold today for the wide receiver position. But Adams, 206. Great.
Yeah, after a quiet week last week, he rebounded nicely. So that was good to see. I don't really have too much from this game other than that it was a fun game to watch. Obviously, the Bengals 3-2. They were right in it with the Packers, who are now 4-1. So Cincinnati looking pretty good, and we hope Joe Burrow is going to be healthy going into next week with the throat issue that he is experiencing at the moment. All right, Tyler. We had a crazy finish in the next one. Vikings win 19-17. No Dalvin Cook.
Ugly.
No Dalvin Cook this week. He was scratched at the inactive, so you were able to make your lineup changes beforehand. Alexander Madison steps in, gets a touchdown, gets 31 touches, I think, 32 touches, and 150 yards from scrimmage. Justin Jefferson is, I think, 3 straight weeks over 100 yards now. Adam Thielen almost gave you a bagel. He didn't get any receptions until the very end of this freaking game.
Yep.
And it was ugly for a bit. I started Thielen in a couple leagues, and I was like, ugh. And then the Lions, Hawkinson, another quiet day. This is 3 weeks in a row. I'm starting to get a bit concerned there. He was on the injury report. And then our boy Swift, he finished out nice. So I'm going to go to James on this one. James, what do you got for the Vikings Lions?
The one thing I do have, obviously, you mentioned the running backs. They're great. The Detroit head coach, Dan Campbell, if anybody saw the highlights from the press conference, my man was crying, like legitimately tears.
That was a heartbreaking loss.
Running down
I felt
his tears. I mean, his cheeks. Come on. You went from biting people's kneecaps to crying in a press conference. Choose which one you want to be and run your offense the same way. It seems like every time they had Minnesota on the ropes, they gave up. They couldn't complete drives. It doesn't look good. I'm out on Detroit players. I really am. Besides Swift, obviously,
Minnesota
you can't even pick.
Won.
I mean, Amon St. Brown, I like him.
2 straight weeks of healthy target percentage.
Correct, but you never know who's going to get it between him and Quintez Cephas. So that's the problem there. Last week it was Cephas that had the better week. This week it was St. Brown. That's gonna be tough to judge on a weekly basis. And hopefully you don't have to rely on those guys. But in some dynasty leagues, we do have to rely on them, especially how things are going out.
Mm-hmm. What do you got, Tyler?
I mean, Alexander Madison, if he ends on a team, second contract, like he's a starting running back in the league. He's a Tony Pollard style running back. He should be a starter. He is a great running back. He's still super young. So if you still have an opportunity to get him when Dalvin's healthy and his price lowers, go do that, because I do feel like another team will try to jump in and trade for him. I do want to talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown. I actually disagree. I think if Hawkinson keeps falling, like tripping over himself, it seems, and dropping passes, Amon-Ra seems like a very stable target for Goff, and Goff is looking for him a lot.
Yeah, I think he's led the team in targets the last 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Goff last week he only had 1 target.
No, last week
8. No, I'm sorry, he had 8. The week before he had 1. Apologies.
Yes, and Amon-Ra is actually becoming a safety blanket for him, which is very nice. He's going to be a 13-point tight guy. And if you're okay with that for a wide receiver 3 or a flex spot, like that's perfectly fine in PPR. I would take that every day. So yeah, I actually like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Swift is great. Yeah, other than the Alexander Madison stepping up, it seems week to week whenever he needs to. I mean, he was getting hit hard, but Madison was also giving it back a bunch of times. So
Yeah,
I love
with
watching him run.
with Madison, I just want to bring up one thing. With Madison being capable of running this offense on the ground in charge when Dalvin Cook is out, I'm looking at Dalvin Cook like as soon as he comes in and dominates, I'm looking to dish him off. I think Madison
How
might.
dare you?
I know. I'm a big fan, Doug. Don't get insulted. But I can see Madison actually carving out an every week role now that he's shown that the offense is content with him running the ball. He is like a Dalvin Cook light, and not in BMI, not in fantasy, maybe in fantasy.
No, I mean
production, though.
touches wise. This ain't a
He can
Zeke
handle
Pollard
it.
situation. They are giving Delvin the ball. Minnesota's very stubborn with contracts, and when they hand out contracts, they are using you. And that's what's going to happen. I mean,
their offense runs through Dalvin. They're not going to change it.
Delvin's going to fall apart on the Vikings. You're going to know when he's done because they're going to ride him until the tires are bare and all of them pop. Like that's
So you don't think Madison's going to affect his value at all?
Nope.
No.
I think he's a very valuable backup. And I like he's going to get 5 carries a game, maybe 8. But Delvin's going to get his 20 carries and 5 catches. It's just how it is. Delvin is a different monster. Like Madison's great, but Delvin is so quick, so shifty. And what we saw from Madison today, Madison, if that was Delvin on that breakaway run, he's gone.
Fair enough.
Agreed. All right, let's get to the next game. This was an interesting one. The Pittsburgh Steelers pick up a huge win at home. They're now 2-3, 27-19 over the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater was healthy in this one. I thought he played okay. Cortland Sutton, man, he's like the hit or miss of the weeks here. 7 for 120 and a touchdown to lead the Denver offense. And then for Pittsburgh, man, it was a Chase Claypool, Najee Harris week for sure. Harris, he is becoming more and more attractive in your dynasty leagues just with his usage. 25 touches this week, 142 yards and a touchdown. I've been impressed. And even Big Ben, I mean, I know he's kind of like dust.
His delivery is so gross. I was watching his touchdown throw to Deontay, and I'm like, that was like 8 minutes long.
It was a great throw, though.
It's like I was watching a pitcher on the mound.
The 8-minute arc of the ball.
For injury news in this one, Juju gets hurt again. I'm not starting Juju Smith-Schuster the rest of the year. I'm going to plant my flag on that one. I just can't.
Dynasty. It's insane. Like the rise and fall of Juju.
I mean, Juju was like the number 1 receiver in Dynasty for like a little bit. And now he's like a guy. It's just, it's ugly. And I don't really want to talk about it because it makes me sad. So Tyler, what do you got for Pittsburgh, Denver?
I'm actually going to go with somebody who did not play in this game. And that's Jerry Jeudy. He's coming back soon. And I think Jeudy, if he is fully healthy, is going to come back and be the one. Again, what we saw the week he got hurt was he was dominating. He was the target that you wanted to get on Denver. And right now, before he comes back, because the second they say he's healthy and he's playing, his price goes right back up. So right now you got the "what have you done for me lately" crowd. You're on my IR. You could get him for a discount price. Go out and do that. Do yourself a favor and go get Jerry Jeudy because he is a great receiver. And I think he's kind of on that Amari Cooper path where people are going to be like, he's hurt. He gets hurt. He the way he plays. You know what? I don't think that's it. I just think he's unlucky. We'll talk about another unlucky running back, it seems, in James' neck of the wood. But Jerry Jeudy is going to smash second half, I think. And I mean, we're getting close to the return.
I like it. James, what do you got for this game?
Just to note that it's still in a 50-50 split between Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, which is disturbing. Very disturbing. I mean, what are you going to do with both of them? You got to wait. You got to wait it out. I mean, Javonte, when is it going to be the matchup where Javonte just fully takes over? Are we going to see it this year? probably not. And that makes me to believe that you can let Melvin Gordon go for some value that he still has right now before he ages out and before Javonte takes over fully. I would do it before I believe their bye is coming up in the next couple weeks. I would do it before their bye week, and you might see a full-on switch after that. So there's your window for getting rid of Melvin Gordon, trying to get a scrap of Javonte Williams as well.
I like that. All right, let's move on to the next game. The battle for Florida. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely crush the Miami Dolphins, who are now 1-4, 45-17. Tom Brady, just a lazy Sunday with 5 touchdown passes and over 400 yards. First time in his career he's done that, by the way. Mike Evans with 2 tutties. Antonio Brown with 2 tutties. This was a Leonard Fournette game. Like, if you played DFS or you were like looking for a running back starter, you should have seen that like Leonard Fournette was going to have a good game here. For Miami, just riddled with injuries. Devontae Parker was ruled out when the 11:30 inactives came out. There's no Will Fuller. He's on IR. So it was really just Mike Gesicki and then Jalen Waddle in a good matchup, and they didn't do much of anything. Myles Gaskin led the team in receptions with 10.
10 for 10. Who would have thought? No one played him.
Preston Williams.
Yeah, Preston Williams. Yeah. Preston Williams. Yes, my boy. But yeah,
get hurt.
This is a perfect, if you have Gaskin in a league, and try to use this to like sell him, because this is a fluke. Like, the pass catchers are out. Like, Myles Gaskin still only had, I think, 5 carries in this game, guys. Like, Myles Gaskin was a guy that I was avoiding at all costs in every format. And I don't have any roster percentage of him at all. But to me, this is like, all right, he had 10 receptions and 74 yards and 2. Try to get rid of him while you can type of player right now. Thoughts?
I think he's okay in the passing game, but like you said, it's not going to happen every week.
Your voice did not sell me. So
yeah, no.
I guess he's all right.
No, yeah, you're right. Get rid of him while you can. The Gaskin thing, the gas man, as I've heard him called.
Tua comes back next week, right?
Supposedly, yes.
I think so.
I mean, Brissett is thanking every ounce of his body that's left put together that
I thought he was done
this
week. I thought Brissett was going to be done, man. He took a shot that just laid him out.
He's a tough dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's tough.
Yeah, tough dude.
My take, man, this game was ugly, and with Gronk gone, you can start every wide receiver. I have Brown and Godwin on a team, and I'm starting both of them and loving life every week. Like, it's just like, okay, Gronk's gone, Antonio Brown's going to eat, Godwin's going to eat, Evans is going to eat. And hey, who would have thought? Gronk's gone, not catching those touchdowns. Evans gets his touchdowns. I mean, Evans was falling on his face the first 2 weeks when Gronk was blowing up. Yeah. And now we got Evans back. Honestly, I'm going to sell Evans. That's going to be my take. Just because of the inconsistency of Evans. I'm not a fan of. I was all about Evans, wide receiver 1, between him and Beckham, year in, year out. We had Chris Whitman on the podcast, and he was Beckham, and I was Evans. But, man, I'm at the point where his value is so maxed out, and it's not going to get any higher, that I think you got to get off of that train, maybe go for somebody younger, like a Jerry Jeudy. Hey, Jerry Jeudy for Mike Evans. Swap them.
I think people would pull the trigger on that.
Yes. I mean, you could really say, hey, Brady's heating up. Here's your push for the playoffs. Go get it. And then once Jeudy comes back, people are going to sit there and be like, I shouldn't have done that trade.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, Evans, this is his, 8th year? So
yes.
Yeah, so I get that.
And he's still only 28, which is insane. But, I mean, his value's capped.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. All right, let's get into the next game. The New Orleans Saints win this one 33-22 over the Washington football team. It was funny. I was watching this one on Red Zone, and Jameis threw up that Hail Mary, and I said, oh, this will work. Because Jameis Winston is one of those guys where it's like a broken play. It happened against the Patriots with the Callaway touchdown. So this time he just throws it up. I'm like, oh, this will work. And then Callaway comes down with it again. And I'm like, Jameis makes the luckiest, weirdest, dumbest plays, and they just seem to work out. So that was fun. In this one, the big injuries in this one, Curtis Samuel re-hurt his groin, I believe. So he missed time in this one, didn't end up catching a pass at all. Deontay Harris, who had the long 72-yard touchdown, had a hamstring injury, so he was out. So there's not a lot to go in this passing game. Taysom Hill suffered a pretty righteous concussion, so he was carted off in this game. The Saints offense, they scored 33 points here somehow. Jameis has 4 touchdowns, but man, they are getting thinner and thinner, and it was all Alvin Kamara in this one for them, to be honest. He was the lifeblood of the offense.
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to take the first take. Where's Adam Troutman? Like, Jameis, you love throwing the tight ends. You got a good tight end, in my opinion. He's got good athleticism. His player profile page is great. Like, he should have been a breakout candidate. And yet, Jameis doesn't throw the tight end anymore. Like, I'm very confused by this. All he does is throw to a guy who wears number 1. Is that his thinking? Maybe that he got LASIX, that he's like, oh no, why am I throwing to these tight ends all these years? Why don't I throw it to these wide receivers? It's mind-blowing to me. But actually, my real take is Michael Thomas. I want to get your guys' take on Michael Thomas, because he's due back soon, I think. I mean, I have him in Capitals Pigs too. I want to ship him off. I just don't know where his value's at. So you guys talk to me about the value of Michael Thomas, because he's 28. He should get a ton of targets when he comes back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're talking like Kenny Stills and Chris Hogan are getting targets in this offense. Like, like a bunch of retreads. I think Michael Thomas, if I could acquire him for a mid-second, I would probably do it. If I was in a win now team, you probably get at least 2 to 3 years out of him. He's the type of player that could last a long time, because he's that safety blanket slot type of guy. My biggest concern with Thomas is the team situation with the Saints. I think there's some drama there with Thomas not getting his injury fixed until June. Kind of really was not a good look for him. So that would be my concern. I think the player is fine, but I don't know if it's going to be a situation where he's going to be a Saint for too long. Maybe he goes to a better place. I don't know. But I mean, he could just be like, oh, I'm healthy, but oh, I'm not really healthy, so I'm not going to play. I could see him doing that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in my position, maybe hold till he's healthy and then sell. Try to hope for a first, but I own him in one spot. It's an orphan, and I think that's going to be my play, is hold and hope for a first, because man, another player that we already talked about, one player where the value's just completely fallen in Juju. Michael Thomas, same thing. Value just went from wide receiver 1 to wide receiver probably 30-ish in value. So,
very James, you got anything for this game?
Gibson doesn't need to practice to be fantasy relevant.
No.
Yeah.
But can he catch passes? That'd be great.
I mean, he caught 2 today. Caught all his both targets.
He caught more than J.D. McKissick.
Yeah, and it burned me. I pulled Antonio Gibson. I was doubtful about his production for this week due to not practicing, only practicing on a limited basis with that shin injury that everybody went crazy about. Oh, he's hurt. And then we see him doing Gibson things, 2 touchdowns. I mean, but they did lose the game. So,
and Tyler Henke did not have a good game.
No. His first one since he started.
Yeah, it was I mean, the Saints defense is pretty good. So, yeah, rough one for Taylor, who's been a decent QB2 in your Superflex leagues for sure.
And Ricky Seals-Jones, he did see 8 targets.
Your free square tight end in Dynasty, by the way.
Free square. Just well said, Doug. Ricky Seals-Jones came with
Start him in SFB.
Nice.
I picked him up in SFB. Didn't play him. Picked him up.
I picked up someone decent in SFB, but I forgot who it was. Anywho, let's get on to the next game. This one was kind of ugly. It was not as entertaining as I thought it might have been. It was Eagles coming back to beat the Panthers 21-18. Jalen Hurts saves his fantasy bacon like he does every single week. You know, he goes 22 of 37 for 198 and a pick, but then he adds 2 rushing scores, which was great. We saw Chuba Hubbard with his first 100-yard game on the ground. DJ Moore, big disappointment in this one. The matchup was good, and he was quiet. So I was a little bit bummed by this one.
He got slayed.
It was
slayed
2v2. Yeah, it was number 2 versus number 2. Did you guys hear the story of why DJ Moore wears number 2?
No, but I did see the Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore story, which
So that's why he wears number 2. So he used to be number 12. Curtis Samuel wore number 10. So Curtis Samuel left. So 12 minus 10 is 2. They're really close. They're tight.
Yeah, they're like super
That's
close.
cute.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
cute.
that whole story about them and how they like do a hug before they enter the game is
it was pretty cool.
it's kind of heartbreaking.
We did see Miles Sanders get double-digit carries. That was nice.
What
I don't
nervous.
have much for this game, to be honest.
What'd he do with
So
them,
nervous
though?
about Sanders, man. I'm trying to get rid of him. I really am.
Yeah,
I like
go
him.
get
5
go
catches
get
for 6
Gainwell.
yards, though.
Go get Gainwell.
Yeah, 5 catches for 6 yards.
You know,
in
Gainwell
PPR,
would
it's
have
okay.
added a 0 at least to the yardage on that because Gainwell can do stuff in space.
That's true. This game was ugly. Let's
It was,
call
it
what
was
is.
definitely ugly. Carolina's defense really showed up. So did the Eagles too, though. They put a whooping on Darnold later in the game, which actually won them the game. Darnold wound up throwing 3 interceptions. We said 2 to Slay himself.
Adam Gase was in the stands.
Yeah, Gase was in the stands yelling,
with his
yelling
crazy
at
eyes
the,
staring at
What is
him.
he even looking at?
Darnold.
I see you.
Just showed up to
Darnold.
check out Darnold. The Gase stare. Yeah, that was pretty much it, man. I mean, the receivers for the Eagles, I want them to
Devonta
get
had a
into the end
touchdown
zone,
called back.
but I
He had a
need
good game.
Jalen Hurts to stop scrambling backwards. He gets nervous and runs backwards for about 15 to 20 yards every time he gets hurried. That's a bad habit that he's got, and I hope he works through it.
Yeah.
Yep. For me, it's I see a lot of, oh man, once the Eagles offensive line gets healthy, you know what? That's year after year after year after year. Once in a while, you got to blame it on your quarterback. And hey, Jalen Hurts, you screwed up a lot today. But you know what? You've got a weapon in Devonta Smith. James, I was just talking to you while playing Fortnite, and I said, you know what's a move people should make? They should trade CD Lamb for Devonta Smith in like a first, because they're producing around the same level in PPR. And I feel like and James did a bunch of studying on it, and he read an article. James, I'm not going to spoil your article, and I'm not going to talk much about it, but you can tell people where it's at.
It's over at Ball Blast Football, and I will mention the matchups. I just pulled it up here. I mean, Smith ranked before this week. Smith ranked wide receiver 37. Lamb was a couple of spots, maybe like 5 or 6 spots ahead of him, and they're pretty much before this week. Obviously, Lamb had a big week. They were pretty much even. Lamb 20 receptions to Smith's 18. And Lamb's like double Smith's value. And I think we talked about it. Tyler mentioned it. It's like, you know, Smith is interesting because you could probably get Smith and a first for CeeDee Lamb and continue to build your team in Dynasty. That's what you always want to do. It's always about when do you want to cash out on these big names. And we mentioned Amari Cooper taking away carries. Gallup is coming back. We see Zeke rocking out 2 touchdowns today. We haven't even gotten to that game yet, and I really don't want to talk about it because the Giants just fell apart.
Literally.
But it makes a lot of sense with a guy like Devonta Smith that people were down on coming into the season due to his size. We're not seeing full-blown alpha wide receiver breakout numbers from him from a fantasy standpoint yet, but it's going to come eventually. I mean, 14 fantasy points, rule of thumb in a PPR league against the tough Carolina defense. He is the main threat in that offense. It's not Miles Sanders. It wasn't the tight ends. So if you can get a first and Devonta Smith for CeeDee Lamb right now, I think CeeDee Lamb's value is pretty much capped. I mean, yeah, he's all the way up there, but it is capped. So that may be a trade that you might want to pursue.
I dig that. All right, let's move on to the next game. This one was all about the running backs. It was 37-19. The Tennessee Titans beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Derrick Henry, doing Derrick Henry things. 29 for 130, 3 touchdowns. Cool. A.J. Brown, talk about a player that is frustrating. I know in the preseason, everyone was like, he could be the wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy talk. And now I'm like, yeah, 3 for 38 on 6 targets. Like, I'm hoping he's
wide
just going to be
receiver 1-0-0.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's just going to be a slow start for A.J. Brown because I have him in a redraft league. But, yeah. And then LaVisca on the other side, he was everyone's like slam start of the week. He didn't get on the board until late in this one, much like Adam Thielen. And luckily, he got you a 58-yard reception. And it was a man run, by the way. He was juking guys. He threw a stiff arm on a dude. I'm like, they just need to feed LaVisca the damn ball. Dan Arnold leads that team in targets with 8. And Jamal Agnew has 8. Tavon Austin has 5.
Oh, God. I can't stand Urban Meyer. So the best part about this game is I was on Red Zone and they switched to it. And it was in the fourth quarter. And the announcer is even like, I don't know what they're doing. The Jacksonville announcer was like, I don't know what Urban's doing. LaVisca had a breakout game last week, and they haven't even given him the ball. And he goes, he goes, they're using Tavon Austin like they should be using LaVisca, but yet they don't. He goes, I'm dumbfounded. Like the announcer was pissed at Urban the way he's using these players. It's like, Come on. It's Cordell Patterson again. Like, stop misusing these players that are so talented that you can do everything with. It's not like get them the ball.
It was terrible. I mean, they were sticking to the run game early in the fourth quarter. Like, if you're down and you have a number 1 overall draft pick in Trevor Lawrence, you have Marvin Jones, you have LaVisca Chenault, who showed up last week, throw some passes. Like, we shouldn't be looking at this.
Even throw it to your running back. James Robinson, I had 1 freaking target.
I don't know why. I don't know why they think that Tavon Austin. I mean, Tavon Austin. Okay, good for you. You had a day.
No. I can't stand Tavon. He was my first rookie pick ever, and he screwed me.
You have a bias against him. But on the other side of the ball, with the Tennessee Titans, I'm nervous about AJ Brown. And why I'm nervous about AJ Brown is because Derrick Henry is still doing it. All right. He had 29 carries, 130 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Ryan Tannehill does not need to throw the ball that much if Derrick Henry's doing his thing. And I mean, it's gonna take more than a brick wall to stop Derrick Henry, and I don't think it's stopping this year.
His second touchdown of the game, it looked like everyone else was moving in slow motion, and Derrick Henry was the flash. Like the way that he just torpedoed into the end zone, I was like, if anybody gets in his way, they're dead. Like that, he was just like a battering ram shot out of a cannon, and I was just like, Jesus.
He's so big. Like when you watch a TV show and somebody like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on Ghostbusters, like when he's walking around, it looks like he's moving in slow motion because he's so big, but yet he's picking up ground a ton. It's exactly like Derrick Henry. Like they're the same size, so it's a great comp. So Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, Derrick Henry, same type player. But I'm gonna go back with AJ Brown. I'm with you, Doug. I think he's gonna have a good second half. I think these injuries are kind of hampering him right now because they're all lower body. And man, he just got off pretty major surgery in the offseason. So I'm hoping, because I did trade for AJ Brown in a league this past week, and I'm hoping that buy low turns out.
What'd you give up?
I gave up Devonta Smith and a mid-second.
Okay, I can dig that. All right, let's move on to this crap show of a game. The New England Patriots crawl back to win 25-22 over the Houston Texans. The Patriots make Davis Mills look like an NFL quarterback.
I was just about to say, there's only one thing we need to talk about this game. The stud in the making.
You need to Mac Jones?
Chris Moore.
I remember him on Baltimore. Yeah.
A blast from the past.
Yeah, Chris Conley scores a long touchdown. Like, what's going on?
Chris Moore, 5 for 5 for 109.
This is a game where Tim Keller started watching. Tim Keller started watching, and by the end of the game, his pants were off, and he's sweating like crazy because you got Chris Conley scoring. He was a big proponent of Davis Mills. Like, this was his game. He was a Steven Anderson touchdown away from just losing it.
Sorry. Speaking of big plays, Dawson Knox just scored like a 60-yard touchdown pass. Reception. Dawson Knox.
Yes. Ooh, yes. All my rosters with Dawson Knox, which is pretty much all of them. I love it. I had to start him in some leagues because I had both George Kittle and Logan Thomas on IR. That's fun. Thank you, Dawson Knox. For the Patriots, Damian Harris gets banged up in this one, loses a second touchdown. He fumbled it as he was crossing the goal line. It got punched out. So that wasn't great. Ramondre Stevenson with an unforgettable 11 for 23. But it looks like for the passing game, Hunter Henry now, a couple weeks in a row, he led the team in targets this week, 6 for 75 and a touchdown. Like, Hunter Henry is going to creep into that tight end one territory just because, guess what? It's not that hard. But I liked what I saw from Henry these last 2 weeks. Other than that, this game was just
the game of Nick Folk.
Yeah, it was just, I don't have really much to say about this game.
So I was talking to Doug earlier today, and he's like, I'm kind of off today, but when I saw the Patriots game, like, I'm just gonna leave him alone. Like, when I saw the score after the first couple quarters, I'm like, this is rough. This would be if Atlanta lost to the Jets in London.
Mhm.
Except worse, because Atlanta's not a good team and not a good run organization, but the Patriots are, and they're well respected. So yeah, and like you said, Harris saved his day with a touchdown. Doug, I have a trade out for you, but it's a player I'm kind of buying, and it's Ramondre Stevenson. Harris can't seem to hang on to the ball ever. It seems like a big problem with him.
It's becoming a problem. Yeah.
Yep. And I think it's only a matter of time where Stevenson takes it. And good or not, I think he's going to get 15 carries a game. So he's going to get some work.
I like it. All right, let's move on to the next game. And that was a Dawson Knox touchdown, by the way. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. We had the Bears beating the Raiders 20-9. Another game where I was kind of like, wow, Raiders, where you at? The Bears defense, though, legit. They've been a really good unit, and they're 3-2, as well as the Raiders are 3-2. Justin Fields gets to start here. We're still waiting on Allen Robinson. I feel like I'm John Travolta when he's looking around in Pulp Fiction. Like,
I'm done. I'm off of him. I'm going to start selling them.
4 for 32, 5 targets. Darnell Mooney, 3 for 35, 5 targets. He was the leading receiver on this team.
Well, when you're throwing the ball 20 times,
they ran the ball
game, it seems.
37 times in this game.
Khalil Herbert, baby.
I mean, for standard leagues, Khalil Herbert smashed.
Hey, Khalil Herbert looked good.
Yeah, he did.
He outtouched Damian Williams.
Didn't get it in on the goal line. That was my little upsetting part about it. Like, I thought that he could have punched it in on the goal line. They stopped him in his tracks. Damian Williams came in and cleaned it up.
Yeah, the Bears did a great job of shutting down Darren Waller. Only 4 for 45 today. Roquan Smith was all over the field like an absolute madman. The Raiders offense,
great job shutting down Justin Fields too.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Jacobs does what Josh Jacobs does, 15 for 48 and a touchdown. Like, cool. The Raiders offense it was just a bad game. Derek Carr got dinged up in this one. Yeah.
Are we worried about Darren Waller right now?
No.
The same amount that I think we're less worried than we are with Hawkinson.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Now, here's a trade that the Patriots should do. Josh Jacobs for Damian Harris. Just switch them, because it seems like both teams want to try to get them to be what they thought they were, but they're not doing that on their said teams. I think Jacobs would smash with the Patriots, and then Harris would be like a Gruden favorite because he's a better Peyton Barber. So for me, in this game, yeah, I'm gonna go with the rookie quarterback. I like Fields, and I think his outlook's good, but honestly, this could be coaching, it could be player. Fields needs to look off of his first read, and that was a big issue in college. He seems like he can't progress through his reads well, which is what a lot of scouts were worried. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're seeing. The Bears offensive line isn't great. So when he's trying to progress through these reads, once he hits his second, because he looks at his one for so long, he's getting hit, and he's getting hit a lot. And I'm worried about him because he could get hurt very early in his career, which could then rattle him.
Yeah, there was one play where he got tackled and his body went in like 54 different directions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like I said, I like Fields. I want him to succeed, but we all know the hit rate. I tweeted about this. There's going to be misses in this quarterback class. And right now it looks like it could be Trey Lance, it could be Wilson, and it could be Fields. I'm not worried about Lawrence, and I think Mac Jones is so safe that I think he's not gonna miss. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
I
in the
think that
perfect spot
offense
for
is going
him.
to start changing around Mac Jones in the future.
Yeah, once
Not
the
this
coaching
season,
staff
obviously.
gets more confident with him pushing the ball down the field, he'll be okay.
Yes. So I think those two are safe. It's all on the other three to see how they progress. And we'll talk about Lance when we get there because there's some worries that I have about him too. But like Fields' delivery is a little long for me. He really spreads his arms out before he throws. It's that Cam Newton-esque type throw. Like Doug, you mentioned it before. I've got some worries about him. I want him to succeed, make him run more, get him outside the pocket. It could be coaching.
Yeah,
Once
I think that long delivery is like when you have the comfort of like all Americans blocking and you have time, like you can do stuff like that, but you can't do that on the team that you're on right now. Like that's just not gonna work.
That's what kind of gives me comfort with Zach Wilson because he's got a quick, smooth delivery.
Yep.
Rather than Lance and Fields, who had these long, wanky deliveries that
wanky. I like it. Chris Wanky.
Speaking of that, Adam Archuleta doing a game in London. I laughed at that a little bit. I'm like, God, that's one of
the last white safeties in the league outside of Daniel Sorensen, I think.
Yes, and and
Harrison Smith, obviously.
Going back to my point, like that's what gives me comfort with Wilson because he's got a quick delivery, he's got a strong arm, and it gives me comfort to know that hey, it's not his delivery that's a problem.
Yeah,
and with the other two, it is.
All right, let's move on to in my opinion, the game of the day. An absolute barn burner. We saw almost 100 points, which was
glorious.
It was a treat. It was 47-42. Los Angeles Chargers beating the Cleveland Browns. And this one was back and forth the whole time. And you know why I had a sweatpant boner? It was because of David Njoku. Like, obviously, that's my takeaway.
And on the other side, Parham
to start the day off.
Oh, and guys, and now we have a Dawson Knox breakout. Guys, I'm just going to tear my pants directly off my body. Like, this is
blinders on.
This is the dream when all these tight ends that are on my roster start scoring points. I get very excited. But David Njoku, so the Cleveland passing game, Baker looked much better this week. David Njoku led the team in targets. I am so off Odell Beckham Jr. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Thankfully for me, I'm in like 15 leagues. I do not have him on a single roster, and I am happy as a clam. I'm way out on OBJ, and I was before the season started in redraft as well. When I saw his ADP, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. On the Chargers side, like, I'm a little worried about Keenan Allen, I'm going to be honest. But Mike Williams, stud. I know he had a quiet week last week, but what an absolute stud. Him and Eckler and Herbert, like, man, it is this game was beautiful for a lot of reasons. James, what do you got on this game?
We all know where he's going.
I mean, Mike Williams, I wrote an article about a couple of weeks ago, before week one, saying to go out and get Mike Williams if you can. He is going to hit this year. And we saw it. And not only did we see him produce, but 16 targets on a team where you have Keenan Allen, necessarily the wide receiver one on the offense. But no, it's Mike Williams. Mike Williams is the one. Okay, when you catch have 16 targets and you catch the ball 8 times for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns, and a lot of those catches that were dropped, he was getting hit. Some of them were bad. Some of them were out of bounds. He is the guy in this offense. Him and Austin Eckler, I'd be looking to hold on to for Dynasty for a long time. He's going to get another contract with this team the way he's showing up. He's in a contract situation right now.
He's
I can even he's going to get paid. They have no other option, and he's becoming the Michael Thomas of this offense, and as is Austin Eckler, the Alvin Kamara. We saw Lombardi come over from the Saints, and it has transitioned to their favor. It really has. It's really night and day for Mike Williams, and it doesn't stop because obviously Herbert is just shattering records over there.
Yeah, complete breakdown in the Cleveland secondary for 2 of those touchdowns for Williams. Like, he was wide open, like, hey, guys, throw to me, Justin.
Made Green and Greedy Williams look bad. Very bad.
Yeah. Nick Chubb had a great game. I do want to mention that. And then Kareem Hunt scores a couple of times in this one. So if you're starting Cleveland Brown running backs every week, Kareem Hunt's an RB2 every week.
I told
Nick Chubb
people
was
to play both of them.
and
one
Chubb
game.
was tearing it up in this one. Chubb had some multiple chunk runs.
They couldn't stop Chubb. And if you can stop Nick Chubb, it's going to be a 20 for 80 game for Nick Chubb because he's that good. Like Nick Chubb is unstoppable. If you slow him down, that's a good thing. That 20 for 80 is good for slowing him down. Josh Palmer's sitting there in the shadows. I think he's waiting. Like if Keenan Allen got hit a couple times where I'm like, like this could be bad. Like Keenan Allen, he hasn't had.
He saved his fantasy bacon at the end of the game too.
Like Keenan Allen hasn't had an injury like a Keenan Allen injury in a long time, and it was year after year. That's what we saw. Josh Palmer, I'm just saying, hey, if you can get him for cheap, he's the next man up in that offense, in my opinion. For if Mike Williams were to get hurt or Keenan Allen, Palmer's stepping in, and Palmer rave reviews in the offseason. Doug loves him. I'm not as big of a fan, but I still like him.
Do you like him over Guyton?
Oh, yeah.
Guyton to me is just a guy.
He's just a guy ton.
Yeah. Get out. But no, I feel like I like Herbert. I took him in an analyst league, the analyst league. I took him 3rd overall in a super flex, and I had Kyler I didn't have Kyler. I think I had Josh Allen right there. I could have taken Josh Allen.
I have Josh Allen in that league. I'm first place for that league. Yeah,
I know, but I picked 3rd. Didn't you pick 4th or 5th or something like that?
I picked 5th or 6th, I think. Yeah.
Yes, because I know a couple running backs went, but I took Herbert over Josh Allen just because I saw Josh Allen's ceiling last year, and we have not yet seen Herbert's ceiling. And I think this is what we're seeing. Like this year, Herbert's playing with complete confidence. Yeah. And hey, if you can do a Mahomes for Herbert plus a first, kind of like what we talked about Devonta Smith, I'm game for that completely.
I would like to make mention that David Njoku is in a free agent year, and he just turned 25 in July.
You could add AB for him.
I'm glad I kept him.
I mean, he's not free now, but he was about a week ago.
He was pretty much free.
He was a few weeks ago, yeah. But
unless he's on Doug's team, then he's a first.
I mean, even in a tight end premium, I'm not giving up more than a 3rd for Njoku right now.
I mean, a late second, I think I would. I think ultra talented.
We're seeing the production. We're seeing the production come because Landry is out. They're keeping Austin Hooper towards the line to block. Jedrick Wills didn't play in this game.
Njoku's just getting open, man.
But I was going to say, like,
there's
the
things
issue
that
with Njoku,
led to Njoku getting as many targets.
It isn't talent; it's injury. It was always injury for him every year. It was never talent, and I think that's when they brought in Hooper because they're like, "Hey, Hooper can block. He's safe."
They're like, "Hey, let's hang with Mr. Hooper."
Yeah, and I mean, I think once they brought Hooper in, they realized, like, oh my god, like Njoku's Achilles is more athletic than Hooper's
night
whole.
And day. Yeah. Austin Hooper's like a young Jason Witten.
A 35-year-old
how
Jason Witten.
He's the guy that wanted the trade, and then all of a sudden he blows up.
Yeah, you sign Austin Hooper as a free agent, you immediately get a pair of white New Balances that come along with
the Velcro strips,
the dad runners. Mow the lawns in those bad boys. All right, let's get on to the next game. That game was fun between the Browns and Chargers. Lots of fun. Let's get to the Giants against the Cowboys. Cowboys pull away in this one, 44-20. But the Giants suffered many, many injuries. Daniel Jones was out and ruled out, I think, with a concussion, right, James?
Yeah, he got. Yeah, we can go into it later if you'd like.
Yeah, so he was ruled out. Kenny Golladay left the game with a leg injury. It looks like
he was playing because he pulled up a goose egg on a team.
Was.
Yeah, he got hurt.
And Saquon Barkley, the most notable one, he rolled his ankle. They're saying it's a low ankle sprain, and he possibly could miss next week. Dude, they showed his foot on the sideline, and I'm like, dog, he is not playing next week. I've had ankles, and they haven't blown up like that as quickly as that did. So I think he's going to miss multiple weeks, in my non-professional opinion. Just because that thing was an absolute balloon on the sidelines like 5 minutes after it happened.
Oh yeah, that's a basketball rolled ankle. Like when you go up for a rebound and you step on somebody's
and you land
foot.
on it, it's just yeah. But the big news for the Giants though in this one, Kadarius Tony,
yes,
The necessarily wide receiver.
Necessarily Tony. 10 receptions for 189 and then gets kicked out of the game for throwing a punch, which is always fun. I've got a tweet from a friend of the show, Mike Clay. It's most receiving yards in a single game by a rookie over the past 15 seasons. Number 1 was Justin Blackmon with 236. Mike Evans with 209. Juju with 193. And then, today, Cadarius Tony, 4th on the list with 189 yards in just his second game with significant playing time. And didn't he have 80 yards last week? I'm sensing a trend here for Cadarius Tony, the rookie pick that nobody wanted. Just saying. James, let's go to you.
I wanted him, and it's a funny situation because he scored more fantasy points than both Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney and Justin Fields combined. So that's something to think about there, Chicago fans. Yeah, for everyone that doubted David Gettleman.
You're making Jason Garrett clap more. I can hear it.
Yeah, I mean, no, we knew Tony was a speedster. His physicality level is off the charts. All right. He's very, very
agile.
fast.
Very agile.
Very agile. Yeah. He's gonna be out there. I don't think he's gonna lose a spot, even when I think Slayton loses his spot.
Slayton can kick rocks. He's a dude.
Yeah.
He's just a dude.
When Shepard comes back, he'll be back in the mix. But Galladay, he's an injury after injury after injury. He's never going to be healthy. I hope you did not spend on Galladay because now you're kind of stuck with him. Tony, you should have bought him in the preseason for literally nothing. The guy was going in third rounds of rookie drafts. No one wanted him. If you got him, I think you can hold on to him for a while because Daniel Jones, obviously this game got out of hand. Daniel Jones got injured, but I see Tony stock just going up from here. I don't think it's going to go down from here on out.
My only thing I want to say is, Barkley, keep your eyes in front of you and stop complaining about a no call because that's how you got hurt. You threw your hands up, you looked at the ref, and you're like, where's the call? And you know what happened? You stepped on a foot and rolled your ankle because you were complaining about that. It's like, look in front of you a little bit because you almost ran into Tony, who's been your best offensive player. What if you hurt him? Like, come on, dude. Like, just play.
Oh, and if you're thinking that Devontae Booker is a free piece pickup for next week, no, they play the Rams. I would stay away.
So I remember Booker when he came out.
I liked him.
He's a thick boy now. Like he's
always been thick. He's always been thick.
Like
yeah.
That.
Hey, can we talk about a minute about Dalton Schultz though? Like another 6 for 79 leads the team in targets. Real. He's not going away. He's a tight end 1, and Zeke. I know
the
Pollard
one he dropped. He should have broke 100 yards. He dropped a big one.
Yeah, he did. So Pollard, 14 carries for 75, a lot of carries towards the end. But I am just really enthusiastic about what we've seen from Zeke these last few weeks. He looks like he's back. Like after a slow start to this season, he's making more explosive plays. I got to say, if you invested in Zeke, because there was a point in the offseason where his stock was so stupid low. And then it started to come back up again. But Zeke's looking good. They're using both of these running backs, and they're both, getting fantasy points for you. And that's great. Zeke's not being used in the passing game as much as he was before. But I love the usage, and he's
still
scoring
got a
touchdowns.
receiving touchdown. Still got a receiving touchdown. Yeah. I just picked up Zeke in the aforementioned league that Tyler said, the analyst league. I spent a 2020 second and a 2020 third first. I am 4-0 in that team, about to be 5-0. If you are a winning dynasty team going for it all this year or in the next year, go ahead and pick up Zeke.
Pick up Zeke and then trade him in the offseason and
trade him in the offseason after your season's over, after you already have that trophy from Trophy Smack. Shout out Trophy Smack. But yeah, I was always a fan of Zeke, and I'm not getting off him anytime soon.
Maybe he finally stopped partying on Endor.
Wub wub.
Bad jokes.
So I was actually watching the Cowboys game last week with my son Lincoln, who's 8, and I go, "Hey, what does that guy look like?" And he's like, "He looks like an Ewok, Dad." And I was like, "I love you."
Yes,
my kid gets it. My kid gets it.
Son moment you can have.
My kid gets it. All right, let's go to the last game on this particular slate, other than the one that's going on right now. Arizona Cardinals 17-10. Kyler Murray with a really quiet day. That San Francisco Niners defense is legit. But yeah, I
Bosa
needed more
hates
out of
him, some Kyler, I feel.
I
Man,
needed more
Bosa
out of
has it rough
Kyler
for
this
him.
week. I needed more points, and I didn't get a ton of them. And I also got 7 carries for 1 yard. I know some of that was kneel downs at the end, which didn't help me either. The passing game in this one, pretty well dispersed. Hopkins finally leads the team in targets again, went 6 for 87 and a touchdown, so it looks like he's back. Rondale Moore, he pops up here and there, leads the team in rushing, adds 60 yards receiving, and then he'll probably do nothing next week. It's very frustrating, this Arizona's passing. And then Chase Edmonds doesn't do anything for you.
Max Williams got hurt.
Yeah, Max Williams got carted off. Yeah, it was just,
which is sad because he's having such a good year.
One thing on Kyler Murray, in the second half of the game, he looked sloppy. He looked hurt. Saw him messing with his shoulder. I think he took a shot once or twice. Just keep an eye on him. Make sure he's practicing next week in full at some point, because he got banged up in this matchup. It was the tale of two defensive hits this game. And
Niners defense was playing real well. And
his fantasy numbers showed of it. Like, they were leaning on the run more. We saw they were creating plays for Rondale Moore. DeAndre Hopkins, though, he's D-Hop. Don't ever discount him, please. He'll always show up for you when you need him the most.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel added a rushing touchdown to kind of save his fantasy day. But Tyler, I know you wanted to talk about Trey Lance a little bit.
Yeah, you guys know I was a huge fan of Trey Lance. He's actually my quarterback 2 ahead of Justin Fields. I thought he had the most upside of these quarterbacks, but man, like Shanahan, I think wants Mahomes, but he's getting something else, and I feel like he's using them like Lamar. More design runs.
Yeah, 16 carries for Trey Lance.
Yeah, like that seemed way almost obnoxious. Like, come on, let the kid throw him out. Like, and it seemed like you knew when they were running with him. Like, they're clearing out the backfield. You could just tell every play, like, oh, this is a design run. Here it comes again. Awesome for fantasy. The kid's not going to last long if they keep doing this. Like, he's not Cam Newton. He's not built like Cam Newton. Nobody is. He's a big guy, but that's not it. My issue with Trey Lance is, once again, the delivery. We were talking with Tim Keller a little bit, and he even brought it up. He goes, he drops the ball down. It's like a sway motion, and it kind of loops a little bit, and he drops it down a little. It's elongated. And what you need to do in the NFL is get the ball out quick. What we talked about with Justin Fields. It can be worked on. He's with a great coaching group. You got Shanahan who's going to help him out. So he, in my opinion, is in the better situation to get that fixed rather than Fields, because Fields next year could be different. But when you got Kyle Shanahan, he's going to put you in the best position to succeed. So I'm not as nervous about Trey Lance as I am with Fields, but there's a lot of inconsistency, a lot of accuracy issues with Trey Lance. But man, when he can get the ball off and he's got time, man, he has probably the strongest arm in this class when it comes to throwing power. But I'm going to be honest with you, out of all these rookie quarterbacks, I'm comfortable with Mac Jones, and I'm very excited about Trevor Lawrence, because what I've seen from him and his growth, especially with that kind of tainted locker room, I feel so much more comfortable with Trevor Lawrence than I have yet this year, because he is growing. He's looking great week to week, and they're not going to have Urban Meyer there next year. So I think they're actually going to go to Trevor and be like, hey, who do you want as your head coach? Like, give us some options. Here's what we got for a coaching slate. And they're going to actually listen to Trevor Lawrence. So I think next year is a big year for Trevor.
About Trey Lance, we knew that he was not NFL ready coming in.
True.
We knew that. All right. The only reason why he got the start today was because Jimmy G is a little banged up. And I think Jimmy G comes back in. I don't think he's the starter from here on out. Another good sign from the offense from San Francisco is that Elijah Mitchell took over the backfield. Yes, he only got 9 carries, two targets, but he made the most out of those 2 targets, caught the ball twice, 19 yards. Trey Sermon, done.
Elijah Mitchell is way better of a running back than Trey Sermon. And you could see it on the field. And Mitchell has oomph, and Trey Sermon has sludge.
So both of these guys, Trey Lance, obviously, I'm not worried about him for fantasy this year. If I have him on my rosters, I wasn't planning on playing him at all this year.
He's on all my taxi squads.
He's on my taxi squad.
Yep.
Elijah Mitchell, on the other hand, I would like Jimmy Garoppolo to come back into this offense so Elijah Mitchell's stock can get boosted up more, because I didn't go out and spend the fab on Elijah Mitchell for Trey Lance to run the ball 16 times.
Just keep in mind, Jeff Wilson will be back soon too, and they like him. So
in November. So Elijah Mitchell has until November. He'll be gone in November. Get rid of Elijah Mitchell.
You're too close, man.
I want to see a couple games with Elijah Mitchell breaking out a little bit, and then I'll dish him off before Jeff Wilson comes back.
I disagree. Hang on to him. Jeff Wilson's a great, goal line back. He gets the touchdowns. Elijah Mitchell, you know what he can do? He can break long runs and score long touchdowns. So I actually think that you could buy Elijah Mitchell and you can get him for, especially in Dynasty, he could be the running back for the next 2-3 years, because we all know Shanahan's, they like to recycle him and just bring in some other 6th, 7th round draft picks and
Jacques Patrick,
put them in. Yep.
Jermichael Hasty, also known as Hasty.
And yes. Brandon Ayuk, you guys buying? You guys gonna buy some Ayuk, or are you guys
no?
Yeah.
If the price was cheap,
are you selling Samuel?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as
I don't think he goes up any higher than he already is right now.
You guys know that Travis Benjamin got 3 targets today?
If I can get a first for Debo, I think I'm all about that, because this wide receiver class is full of elite prospects at wide receiver.
Yeah, give me Chris Olave over Debo.
Nope.
Let's not talk college because I'm lost.
I'll say this could be a fun offseason because Wilson is the wide receiver one, or Burks.
All right, well, that is going to wrap us up this week. We want to thank our sponsors, Fantasy Points. So thank to them. Check out fantasypoints.com. Lots of awesome things going on there. If you're looking for some help in your redraft or your dynasty leagues, you can subscribe on there. 21DHH10 is the code you want to use. And also to our other sponsor, Trophy Smack, code DHH Ring. When you buy a belt, a grill, or a trophy, you will get a free championship ring, a $60 value for free with code DHH Ring. So make sure you go and do that. Maybe you owe your league a trophy, or you're just being super proactive person and you're like, I'm just going to get the trophy now before I forget. Do it. So that's all I got this week. I've been your host, Doug. For James and Tyler, we're going to see you in a couple of weeks, but make sure you tune in next week to the other guys, to Chase and the gang. But we'll see you in 2 weeks with the regular crew on Dynasty Happy Hour.